Welcome to System Mastery, the podcast where we beat a dead horse 1d6 damage at a time. If you're new to the show, welcome. I'm Jeff, and my co-host John and I want to share with you the wonder of role-playing games. Unfortunately, we keep buying old bad ones and reviewing those instead. Is it because we are continuously swindled by a mystical, ill-tempered old shopkeeping wizard? It is telling that his store is never in the same shopping center twice. This week, we discuss Witch Girl Adventures, an RPG we received as an anonymous gift. I mean, it was probably anonymous. We never saw a name. If you gave us Witch Girl Adventures, let us know so we can thank you later. If it was just you, Swindlor the Crinkled, damn you and your mischievous chicanery. Why can't we have a regular bookstore instead of a sorceress devotee of Flim Flam? And welcome back. Hey John, how you doing today?
So good.
I'm glad to hear it. This book was not the hardest reading.
No, not the worst ever.
So, okay, this is called, the actual full name of this book is Witch Girls Adventures.
Yeah.
A dramatic mischief, storytelling, drama dice
Game for
the Wayward Youth's Director's Kit.
Yeah.
Kit. C-I-T. Kit. Just to get this out right now, get this right out of the way. This is the worst edited book I've ever read.
Yeah, so the whole thing is supposed to be the director's cut, but even on the very first page where it does the full title, it spells director's cut, director's C-I-T.
Yeah, director's, sit?
Director's seat.
Seat. We decided that stands for Cadillacs in Time.
Yeah. It's a way hipper version of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It's Dr. Witch. Ah! Yeah, you get it? Oh, snap.
Dr.
That just
Y.
happened.
So this is a game about playing as kind of witch girls. You play as
Tween girl witches.
yes. Although there are rules contained therein for playing as younger or older girls.
Yeah, you could do, 9-year-old witch girls, or 18-year-old witch girls, or 25-year-old witch girls.
Yeah. So there you go. You can do witch adults.
Yeah.
And it's basically, I'm trying to think of the proper genre for what that is. I feel like there's more anime where you play as little, or where you watch little witches do their thing than.
Yeah, no, the thing is, the art and the writing for everything isn't at all reminiscent of being anime.
No, you look at the cover and just by the name, you're like, oh, this must be some anime thing. But no, all the art is mostly it's like Kim Possible fan art.
Oh yeah, no, this seems very American cartoon, but taking its cue from the stories you'd normally see as more of an anime thing.
Yeah. And there's a section at the very beginning where it briefly asks, what about that boy with the glasses, which I thought was adorable.
Yeah.
As we mentioned in last week's Afterthought, which is our brand new podcast where we just talk instead of talking about a game, we think it's weird, and it turned out someone actually told us why, because we don't do any research, that there's no Harry Potter game. There's no Harry Potter RPG that exists, and it's because what's her name? Rowling said that no one is ever going to be allowed to write stories in her world except her.
Which, good job on that. Let me go look up every fan site that has a bajillion /fics.
She just meant no one will be allowed to do it officially, I guess, or to do it well.
Yeah. Well, it's true. No one has been able to do it well. If you look up any of those /fics.
I can tell you who does it well. It's Snape.
Yeah, Snape does it well.
That guy knows how to do it.
He's got some potions for you. Yeah.
That implication is horrible. That's like Cosbyan.
I was more assuming that he was using a potion as a lube.
Nope.
Okay.
No, it just knocks you out.
That's good.
Then you wake up and then 30 years later you try and sue him.
Yeah. That's what happens with Snape.
Yeah, that's the story of Snape.
Yeah.
Try my potions in a zibble zabble.
I got date snaped.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so... Witch Girls.
Witch Girls. Okay, so yeah, right off the bat, it starts with a section that tells you that you could play Harry Potter with this, but it doesn't want you to. It says, we'd prefer you play Witch Girls instead of that book about...
Larry
Spotter and his laudable lions in their battle against the slithering snakes. But they have a couple of extra rules just so you can.
Yeah, the normal way in which you get sort of your class/race in this is you have a clique that you are a part of. Mm-hmm. If you're doing the Harry Potter thing, then it's just whatever house you're from. Mm-hmm. But in this, you get sort of your standard, how did you figure out you were a witch, or what's your background? So you've got things like, oh, I'm a nature witch, I'm a rustic. And so I come from a long line of more shamanistic type people. You've got your insider, who is more about, I was raised in the world of magic, I know all about it, I know about Magic Society, but I know nothing about mundanes.
Yeah, and you also hate Mondays.
Yeah, I hate mundanes.
But you love lasagna.
Yes.
Which Garfield?
That one. That Garfield.
That Garfield. The really fat one from the first 2 years.
But yeah, you get the in-betweener, which can go between the mundane world and the magic world.
Mm-hmm. You've got the Gothic.
Yeah, the Gothic, who's just, I've decided to be so Raven.
Yeah, they're very Raven. And then there's also the Cybermancer, which I think is actually called something else.
Like the Techie, or the, there's like 4 different names for them.
Yeah.
But they're all the, I'm a witch that uses, like, I cast a locating spell through a GPS and things like that.
Yeah. My cell phone has twice the memory of any modern cell phone.
Oh boy.
It sure shows up a lot, where they're just like, your computer is twice as good as a modern computer. Who cares? You know, if my cell phone had 64 gigs instead of 32 on it, I'd be like, oh, yay, I can fit even more Guardians of the Galaxy albums on here. This is magic.
And then there's the Outsider, which is your standard Harry Potter, I didn't know anything about magic until someone showed up and was like, you're a witch, Hagrid.
Hagrid?
Yeah.
Hagrid is the female version of Harry, isn't it? Sherry.
Yeah. Sherry!
And thank you. Yeah. Now that no one will ever listen to us again because we're trying to sing Frankie Valli songs.
Of course. Well, you know, there's 2 things that nerds love. It's RPGs about underage witches and Frankie Valli.
It's true. They go together so well.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to play as Sherry Potler, then
you are an outsider.
An outsider. You're someone who didn't know that magic existed. And then you basically pick one of those, and it gives you an array of dice that you can use for your stats. Because the way that stat rolling in this game works is that you have a die type that represents your stat.
Yeah, so instead of a number that goes up, like instead of having a 5 or a 10 in a stat, you have a D4. And then if you go up from that, you have a D6, and so on.
Yes. So the average stat is a D6. Every character gets 1 D4 that they have to put somewhere on their stats, 3 D6s that they have to put somewhere on their stats, and 1 D8.
Yeah, which is weird because instead of just saying at the beginning, this is the stat spread you get, for every single click it goes, your stat spread is a D4, 3 D6s, and a D8. And it says that for every single one. It's not different for any of them, but it decides to mention it on all of them.
Yeah, I could have just told you once that you pick those and played them out. One stat does not get one of those dice assigned to it. That's your magic stat.
Everyone's magic stat is a D8.
Because if you have any magic at all, you're good at it.
Yep.
So you start with a relatively high stat in magic. Additionally, you can spend the rest of them on body, mind, senses, will, and social.
Yep. So these will cover basically all of your standard, like, body is everything to do with being either strong or fast or durable is all just in body. Your mind is basically all of your intellect things.
Yeah.
Senses for figuring things out. Social, obviously, for being social. And then will is like your strength of will, I guess?
Yeah, it's your ability to resist being controlled, basically.
It's kind of odd, because almost nothing rolls with will.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, honestly, nothing should roll with magic either if you play this game correctly.
It's true. We'll get into that later.
We'll talk about it. Okay, so then you pick one of your classes, you assign those stats out, and then it can be possible as you play through the game to raise those stats. So you can bring your D6s up to a D8 or a D8 up to a D10 and so on, which brings us to the really fun dice math chart, which tells you the ranks of dice or power of effects based on the dice that you would roll for them. So, for example, at a certain point, right around the D10s and D12s, it gives up on the whole moving up by a die and instead starts adding +1s.
Yeah, so once you hit D12, then when you go up to the next die type, instead of going directly to a D20, you go D12 plus 1, and you do that all the way up to D12 plus 7.
And then jump to D20. Now, if you are a role player, like a regular dice rolling type of person, then you're going to hear that and think, wait, it goes from D12 plus 7, and then the next level of power up is D20? Isn't that way worse?
And you're right.
It is. Because even though you can't roll magic 20s on a D12 plus 7, you also can't roll 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, or 7s. So you can't fail at any task that is hard or lower.
Yeah. The difficulty for things, a hard task starts at... I think it's a
7, 8, and then very hard is 9, 10. I think, and so if you have the D12 plus 7 die type, you can't fail at anything that isn't at least very hard.
Yeah, and most things in here, like a very hard test, is something that like a high level monster would make you take, or high level magic.
It's funny because all the examples are like, you could jump over a 6-foot fence, or convince a boy to go to the dance with you.
No, it's great, because they do all of the examples for things like, you can, on an easy one, it's like Googling something, and then it goes on from there, and then the improbably difficult, the highest level is convince that shopkeeper at a snooty store to give you a discount on a dress.
Ugh. That is not how you bring women into the game.
This is so good.
This sexism is killing me. So anyway, that's how that works. Then you go into skill selections, of which there are quite a few.
There are several. You will get... in addition to your skills, you also get your background for what class you are. And not
that's
class
right.
like, I'm a fighter, but class as in what social class are you?
Right, because you can be things like a wastrel or an orphan or a rich girl.
Yeah, so you can...
From farms.
It determines your starting wealth, which is a value that you'll have.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones with less wealth have more stuff.
Which is fair, but weird.
Yeah, so you essentially trade in wealth points to get, like, I have more skill points in something, or I start with an extra +1 to whatever.
Yeah.
So it's weird, though, because it doesn't make you... Like, there's no rolling for it, and there's no, like, this level of wealth is associated with whatever. It's just you can pick whatever you want. So if you want to be rich, you can be rich.
Yeah.
And if you don't,
well, it's
then
because
you're not.
It's because they're relatively balanced.
Relatively.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some that are, like, I can start with wealth 3 instead of wealth 4, and I'm only slightly worse off than the person that started with wealth 1.
Yeah.
There are obvious ones that are the correct ones to choose.
Well, it's going to keep coming up while we discuss this game, is that it looks like a very fun game, and it seems like it'd be alright to play, but the balancing issues are just out of whack.
There's always one problem with everything, and you're like, but wait a minute.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's talk about the next thing, which I think is called modifications or traits or...
It's your merits and flaws.
Yeah, there's like 4 versions of them in here.
Yeah, you get a heritage, you get traits, and then you get knacks.
Yeah. Well, one of the heritages are basically things that represent your upbringing in some way. They're things that are powers that are unique to your bloodline, basically. And so they include things like, you know, you're from a race of witches that are especially familiar with the undead, or...
Yeah, or you are from the high blood, and
yes.
you're from a family of witches that is like a pure blood witch line.
Now, there's a whole section of these heritages that's called otherkin. And I feel like that should set off some kind of an alarm, like whenever we say otherkin on the show, just like...
whoop, whoop, whoop!
Or it's like the secret word of the day, and everyone's like, ah! So, so otherkin in this game means that your witch girl is half some kind of very TV-friendly magic creature.
Yeah, so you can be a half werewolf, you can be half fae, you can be half immortal, and immortals are basically demigods.
Yeah, so it actually describes you as being more muscular and so on.
Yeah, the immortals are your classic, like, I'm Hercules or whatever, and I am a huge badass.
And you can also be half vampire. Oh, you know, we completely forgot to mention that when you pick your cliques, that each clique has, I forget what they're called, but they're like traits of the clique.
Oh yeah,
And
you
get
pick one. You get one for free, and then you pick one from a choice of 3.
Yes. So they can be things like, when you try to cast a spell, you get +1 if that spell is evil, or you have +1 to spell ranks for necromancy, that sort of thing. Well, one set, which is, this is the coolest thing, and this is the thing we really wanted to talk about in this game, is if you play as, I believe it's the
outsider.
The outsider, the person who doesn't know anything about magic. It can be that you learned your magic naturally without going to school about it, and that means that you maybe necessarily aren't casting magic using your magic.
Yeah, so you are self-taught.
So you can pick whatever stat you want and cast all your spells through that, and determine your defense through that. Well, that doesn't sound so bad, you think, because the highest you could possibly give that stat is a D8, and your magic's already a D8.
Now, the other thing that you just get for free that you don't pick as an outsider is +1 die type to one of your stats.
Yeah. That means right off the bat, you pick, let's just say body.
Yep.
So you can be all big and strong.
My favorite creation in this game is the outsider punch witch.
Yeah.
Who has decided to go, alright, I'm a natural caster in body. Mm-hmm. I put my D8 in body. I get an extra die type to body. I go to a D10. Mm-hmm. I picked my heritage. My heritage was half immortal. That gives me an extra die type to body because immortals are all buff. Great, I go to a D12. Then I chose my trait. My trait is that I'm a jock. That means I get an extra +1 to my die type. I'm up to a D12 +1 now. Then I went to knack. My knacks gave me an extra 1 to my die type of body. I'm up to D12 +2 as a starting character for what everyone else is doing with their magic as a D8. Not only that, body includes how many hit points you have, how hard it is to hit you in actual, regular physical combat, and how many actions you get.
That's right. So for picking your character as the half Hercules person who doesn't know what magic is but is still the best at magic, you get to go more than other players. You get you get twice as many actions as them.
Up to 4 times as many.
Yeah.
By the time you get all of your... Because there's also a spell that will give you +4 to whatever stat you want to have, which puts you up to a D12 +6, which is mythical. You are almost hitting the cap now.
Yeah.
And at that point, you go, okay, great, what does that mean? Oh, well, it means that since magic also is your resist magic stat, so your body is making it so no one can hit you in combat, no one can cast a spell on you, you never fail at casting a spell, and you can punch someone's face directly off of their body.
Without even bothering with spells, although if you want to use spells, you're better at it than they are.
Yeah. But better than anything, you just go, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna straight up deck that other girl in the face. I'm gonna take a nerd, shove her into a locker, and then she's not gonna try to do anything, because if she does, it doesn't work, then I laugh at her. Then I go into class, and I'm a straight A student, because I'm better at magic than everyone.
There you go. You can get close by making your character a half werewolf or a half fairy, and following the same track with senses or willpower, social. But I can't imagine why you would, because the object of the whole game now is to become a giant super-muscled punch witch with a huge burly mustache.
Oh yeah. You get a monocle, and you just run around on your penny farthing.
You run around on your bike.
Yeah, on top of it.
That's how you do. Huge triangular weights in each arm.
Oh, I say, other witches! Good day!
I'll box your ear, I will!
Queensbury rules for this wizard duel.
Oh. Let the record show that we're both doing that old-timey boxing motion.
Yes.
So that's a character that you should make in this game.
That is 100% the best and only character to make in this game.
Make a whole party of those.
Yeah, make everyone outsiders, because outsiders, by default, are the best thing you can be.
Yeah.
And, except for one thing. You have to have one, gothic person, because they get to be +1 at one type of magic, and you make it alterations so that they're better at making your outsiders better at their stats.
Yep.
There you go, that's your party.
So 1 buffer and 4 very buff.
Yeah. There you go. That is how you defeat this game.
Now, do you feel good about defeating this game?
Kind of. I mean, I flipped to the back. There is a monster manual in the back.
Yeah.
And they're like, what can you fight? You can basically fight a mini Cthulhu. Well, how does a starting character punch witch do against this Cthulhu? Oh, wrecks it. Just pushes it shit right in. It's amazing.
Okay. There's a variety of spells that you can choose from.
Oh, yeah.
Because this game has so many schools of magic. And the way that they work is that there are levels. They're just called ranks. And each rank of each type of, or each category of spells has like 5 or 6 spells in it. And, your character will normally start with 3 ranks or 2 ranks or so in one category of spells. Spell categories include things like necromancy, cybermancy, offense, defense,
alteration, summoning,
divining, which is the worst divination tree I've seen in a while. Because almost everything in it is just, you get a glimpse of the future. Your DM may not tell you anything because what if he doesn't know? Why did you take this?
Yeah. So the most you're allowed to have as a starting character in anything is a 3, except for the character that starts with +1, they can start with a 4.
Mm-hmm. And the highest rank is 6.
Yeah,
There's one rank 7 spell in the game which you're not able to get at.
Nope.
It's just there so that people know it exists.
Hooray.
And that is a healing rank, and it's basically bring someone back from the dead if they were killed by normal means. Because there's already a spell in the game to bring back someone who was killed by magic. That's down at rank 5.
Yep. So you can undo magical death easier than someone getting shanked, apparently.
Which is fine, because, this game doesn't really have the rules and so on for, like, chainsaws. It's all just pointing wands at each other and zaps. And zap points are a thing. That's the, magic.
So that's how you cast spells.
Yeah, so you calculate your zap points, and then each spell costs a number of zap points equal to the rank that the spell is. So, for example, if you wanted to shoot a little fireball at somebody, it's not going to be called that. It's going to be called, like, so hot or something, because this game's got a very tweeny sensibility about it.
Oh, yeah.
You can do that for your 1 zap point if it's a rank 1 spell. And then it does rank 1 damage, which in a thing that I think is actually a very good idea, all damaging spells just do damage that's based on their rank.
And you can lower a rank of a spell. So if I'm casting a rank 5 spell, and I go, man, that is going to do way too much goddamn damage. All I want is to hurt this guy, not absolutely disintegrate him. You can go, alright, I'll cast it as a rank 2, only use 2 zap points for it, and do the level 2 damage. So you can play with what you're doing by sort of lowering your ranks if you need to.
Mm-hmm. That means that you can bring your damage down so that you don't incidentally kill anybody. Otherwise, the spells, a lot of them tend to have not much in the way of stats. They're kind of similar to the old Dark Earth spells that we read, where it's just, this spell turns someone into a frog. How embarrassing! And that's the text of the spell. You figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got a chart in the same way that damage is charted per rank. You also get charts for how big can I make someone? Well, what rank is the spell?
Yeah,
how small can I make someone?
That chart section there is real weird to me because it's real mathy in a game that otherwise is very friendly.
Oh yeah, well, the how big can I make someone is all multiplicative. Mm-hmm. How small can I make someone is percentage based of their size. So like if I'm doing a rank 3, I can take them to 5% as large as they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gives you how big of an object you can alter. So, like, if I'm using a rank 3 again, I could alter a normal human adult.
Right. And then there's a section for what the range of spells are that's based on rank, and it gets to the point where it's like intergalactic rank.
Oh, yeah. If you get up to, like, rank 6, you're just like, whatever, just cast it.
I can cast this on anyone on any planet. There's also a whole section for ranks on how many targets can be affected by a spell.
Yeah, so if you're below rank, like, 3 or 4, you can only affect 1 person. If you get to rank 4, you can start to affect 2 people with a spell.
Yeah, so it's interesting because that little section there is very math heavy and keeps you kind of reading it over and over again whenever you cast a spell. The spells themselves are all just, this does a goofy thing, whatever, next.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you have things like, okay, I'm casting a cybermancy spell, and it lets me just duplicate a program as a level 1 spell.
I gotta point out that the cybermancy tree is terrible. It just does things computers could do, except you're spending magic points on it.
Oh yeah, I spent a zap point, and I copied a file from one computer to another.
Right.
Because I didn't have a USB cable available.
That's what it is. Things like I spent a zap point and sent an email. 2 zap points and I liked someone on OkCupid.
3 zap points and I made them like me.
Oh, but they don't really like you. It just says their
profile. Oh yeah, no, I just made their profile click like on me.
The whole cybermancy section is just kind of disappointing. It's like, you need a computer to do it. What can you do with it? Stuff you could do with a computer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, once you get to the, like, level 5s and 6s, then you get into the goofy, like, I shoved someone into the MMO world, which MMO is one of the level 6 spells. You go, what do? You trap someone in a computer game until either you say they can leave or I think they die.
It's important. This is an interesting thing about this game, is that it's all written as like a goofy, haha, fun times, everyone's 13, let's totally spies except we can cast spells type game. Except that it's brutal. Like, it's real easy to permanently kill someone. I know the spells only do, like, rank damage, but technically you'd be like, I turn that guy into a worm and step on him.
Oh, yeah. The alteration spells let you get to the point where you're like, alright, am I rank 3, so, like, even a starting character? Great, I'm gonna shrink you down to 5% of your normal size. I turn you into something immobile, and then just squish you.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about immobile stuff. You can be like, I turn that guy into a book. Yeah. I just keep him that way. The end. That's the end of him. Yeah. Hopefully he's conscious, because that's gotta be some kind of hell.
Yeah, and even the starting, so the very first thing in this is a comic that is like an intro to Witch Girl's adventures, where it shows the main, sort of canon protagonist characters get together, and the headmistress of the school that this all basically takes place at sends them out on an adventure to go find a girl. So they're gonna go find an outsider who doesn't know she's a witch yet. They run across some ruffians.
Yes.
Who are also basically just like 15 or 16.
They look like they're waiting to be chased into a dumpster by Falcor. It's like that group of kids.
Oh yeah, it's straight up just like your classic 80s bully kids from high school. And they're like, hey, what are you doing in our neighborhood? And they're like, we're trying to find some girl. And then they're like, yeah, well, you look dumb. Oh, do I? Well, I'll fucking turn you into a frog and him into a cockroach, and then you'll eat him. Your friend is dead now.
And you ate him.
Yeah. I'm like, holy shit, this is brutal.
Yeah.
This is some serious metal stuff.
Right. Right after that, it gives us a little brief taste of what the world is like, and it says that, I'm see if I get the number right off the top of my head. Most people are not witches. 99.999999999% of people are not witches. Which, I'm a math person, so I stopped and read that and thought, oh, so 1 in 100 billion people is a witch. So how is there more than one of them? Because there's only 6 billion people, which means that literally there should be no witches in all of human history.
Oh yeah, there's a 25% chance that there has ever been a witch.
That's correct, yeah. That there was one witch at some point. That's more true to life than I would have figured.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But they are enamored of that 99.9 repeating thing.
Yeah.
Because they use it in 4 different places throughout the book.
Well, it looks so impressive. And then you do the math and you're like, oh, well, they probably shouldn't have used that because it's useless information then.
Yeah, they're like, oh, who knows that witches are real? Well, 99.99999% of mundanes don't know that witches are real. And you're like, okay, great.
Alright, so no one on Earth knows that witches are real. Not even witches. The odds of both things happening are very low.
Yeah, there happened to actually be one witch in human history. She didn't know she was a witch, though. It was really sad.
It's a sad time.
There was one guy who knew witches existed in all of human history, though, but he wasn't one.
Well, of course, because he was a guy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, really.
Because you can't play as guy witches in this game unless you want to play the Harry Potter mod.
Yeah, you can do that, but they don't want you to because they want it to be girls.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that they do for, NPCs or antagonists or anything else tends to be immortals.
Yeah.
It's basically, if you're magical, you're a chick. And if you're just a hunky dude, then you're an immortal. Right. And that's basically all that exists.
They even say for the other kin that your father was likely to be the weird monster creature. So yeah, that's just the way it is. That men tend to be weird monsters and women tend to be cool, sexy witches.
Yeah.
But again, 13, so sexy, wrong word. The art doesn't reflect this. I challenge anyone to find a picture of a 13-year-old in this book. Everyone looks like a high school student.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, I am so glad that even among, the teachers, when they do the pictures of the teachers, no one's like, I'm a sexy witch.
Oh yeah, you don't get that often. I feel like they almost got a little close with, the gothic, because it's like a like an Asian goth in a miniskirt. But still, a 13-year-old Asian goth in a miniskirt.
Oh yeah, no, it's not sexualized in any way,
No,
and
not at all.
I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, we thank them for that. This game's a little forward-thinking, but then it still has all that stuff about malls.
Yeah, because you'll probably hang out at the mall and gossip about that cute, immortal PE teacher.
Yeah. Okay, and again, I really want to talk about the editing in this book. If you play as a half-fairy, then your spells don't work on things made of iron, okay, or still. Not steel, still.
Yep.
Okay, if you purchase a magic computer that lets you transfer things to another magic computer by holding them up against the screen, you don't hold those items up against the screen, you hold hose items up against the screen, and then hose items are transferred to another computer, so it only works on hoses.
Yeah.
Or leggings.
You can download a hose to a computer. You wouldn't download a hose, would you?
There's a... No, because I wouldn't download a hose, so why would I steal a movie? There's a section where it just says, and I'm going to quote here, a witch can up to 50 miles per night.
Yep. There you go. Thank you, book.
So, I don't know who wrote this book, I forget the name of the company, but if you're the author of Witch Girls, I'm going to make you a special offer right now. If you send me $200, I will edit your book in a different way than you did, which means I will not open the file my book was written in, and then press F7 to spell check it, and then think that counts as editing and move along, because it doesn't. So for $200, System Mastery will edit your book so it makes fucking sense.
Oh my god. Like, it would be one thing if this was, like, here's my rough draft, or even this is the first edition. This is the director's kit.
Sit. The director's sit. So to give you an idea of what the director's sit means, that means that this guy's currently working on 2.0 of the book. He says that this is Witch Girls 1.0 plus.
Yeah, this is Witch Girls 1.5.
Oh, don't give him that credit. He says it's Witch Girls 1.0 plus some extra stuff. He gives it the 1.0 descriptor, the computer iterative redesign descriptor, and then doesn't use it. Huh. He's like, oh, this is 1.0 and I'm working on 2.0, but this isn't 1.5, it's 1.0 with some extra stuff. So it's 1.1 or 1.2 or something? No.
Aww.
Oh. So there you go.
Yep. Good job.
So yeah, I'd be happy to edit this book for $200 American dollars.
I'm glad that you specified it was American dollars.
Well, yeah, I don't want Canadian dollars or Australian dollars or some other company that use dollars.
Yeah.
Country. Why would I edit this book? I'm terrible.
If you want a guy who doesn't know what words is to edit your book, please send us $200 American dollars.
Dollars American.
From the American Company. A brand you trust. For all your dollar needs.
We make dollars and we make them well.
We make dollars. It's just cents.
No.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
No.
Oh, God. Okay.
What else is there to talk about with this one?
So, that's, like, about a half hour in. I think we've gotten through basically making a character.
Yeah, there's a whole section for picking out items.
Yeah, there is. And the weird thing about the items is it's all divided by what shop you would get them at.
Yeah, it's like a mall. There's a section in the back that's the Magic Mall. And each one of them has a little descriptor as you open. It's like welcome to wonderful Windows Wands.
Yeah, and here's Bartleby's boutique of magic gloves and dresses.
And then each one's got like kind of a character voice who pops up and introduces themselves and tells you what they sell. So it's like vaguely Jamaican sounding lady. Hey, what you want with them? We gonna get some wands up in here.
Boy!
Expertise.
Lot of mercy. Yeah, that's the shop in the Witch Mall where you get your blacklight reggae posters.
Which are magic and come to life.
Yeah. You get a magical Bob Marley to show up when you point a blacklight at him.
Welcome to the Pretender's ska house of magic gloves you could wear. Come on in and pick it up.
Hey!
Oh man, if it was just some place where everyone was saying hey, that'd be like that modern folk rock store.
Oh yeah, the modern folk rock store where all they sell are fiddles, banjos, and there's just a guy in the corner going, hey!
We've got magic mason jars. All of our trouser legs are rolled up and we're all wearing suspenders. Hey!
Yes.
Okay.
So you get through that, and then the back of the book has, I had mentioned the sort of a monster manual type thing, but they've got an NPC section that gives you generic NPCs. So you can go, alright, what is this? Here's your average human. Here's a mundane guy. Here's an average vampire and a werewolf and so on. So they'll give you that, which isn't the monster section, because a werewolf and a vampire are considered just NPCs, because this is one of those games. Mm-hmm. Then for the monsters, you get mostly stuff that you would be able to summon through the summoning school of magic. Mm-hmm. The different ranks will be like, you can summon a whatever. And so usually there are ranks of monsters, which will correspond to sort of summoning ranks for what you can get.
Right.
And, I mean, unless you are a punch witch, once you get up to sort of a level 4 or higher summoning, you are able to get some actually really badass stuff in there.
Sure.
Like, you just get giant lion men guardians who are like, I will protect you and wreck people.
Which is fine, because ultimately, a lot of the spells are so open-ended in terms of application that it's fine if that's how powerful your summons are.
Oh yeah, because you summon a giant lion man who's like, I am amazing, and then someone turns him into a toad, and you're like, oh, my giant man.
Yeah, because it's real easy to turn people into things.
Oh yeah.
So, there you go. There's also a little section in the back that kind of sets the scene for the world. Because, as you read your way through this book, you get the sense that it's kind of GURPSy, and that it doesn't feel like it really has a setting.
Which is sort of what they wanted to get at the beginning. They're like, oh, instead of just being Witch Girl's adventures, we wanted to make this the drama dice system and make it for a whole bunch of stuff. Because that's what everyone who makes an RPG decides, that the book they made should apply to all genres for some reason.
You could run a sci-fi classic ghost adventure in this.
Stop it.
Get out of here with that, don't look back.
And in the beginning of the game, it mostly just seems like, yeah, you could play these witches however you wanted, but here is a setting for it.
Yeah, and it's like Stephen King-y, it's Maine.
Well, yeah, you're at, like, Mrs. Mist's school for witches, and so you have your headmistress and then all of the various teachers that teach different things.
Yeah. And it's set in a nice school in Maine, and it's got every other Stephen King trapping, like weird haunted appliances and a retarded friend that you had as a child.
Yeah, well, I mean, they would obviously be magical because this is Stephen King.
Yeah.
In addition to all the things for the schools, they tell you about the town, and how you're not supposed to fuck with the townies, because if you do,
they'll cast a spell on you that makes you get thinner and thinner, and...
Yeah, well, if you fuck with the townies and make them get thinner and thinner, then the headmistress is going to be quite cross with you.
She'll lock you in a car, and a dog will threaten you.
Yes, that's what will happen. However, the dog is not rabid. It is an intelligent speaking dog, and it's just going to threaten you from outside. Oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you real good.
You can call me Cujo. Man, that movie'd be really weird if the dog could talk.
Hey, get out of the car. Hey, come over here.
Come on, let me eat that kid.
Let me get that kid. I just want to taste him.
You know what? I changed my mind. I'm not going to eat you. Just come on out of the car. I'm not going to eat. I promise.
I'm real friendly. I'm so slobbery because I want to play fetch. Get out of the car.
Oh, Cujo, but he can talk. that's...
Oh, Stephen King, call me. We'll set this up.
All right.
Yeah, so the town has a bunch of doofy things and rules for what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And then you get an adventure. You do get the, like, hey, what kind of adventure would you like to go on? Here's a sample adventure of what you could do.
Right.
Which is nice that they give you that.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not a terrible sample adventure either. The beginning of the book opens with a little comic strip of 4 witches being sent out to recruit an additional witch.
Yeah, where they, murder some guy.
They murder a kid and then threaten another kid. And
they put one into a cage where he's scrunched in there and it looks like they've probably broken his legs. And then they shrink him down to about the size of a mouse.
So it's really, what we're saying is it's like a feminine empowerment game.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Just go out into the world and inflict magic violence on whoever.
Yeah, no, this game is straight up misandry. And as a men's rights activist,
Lord.
I would like to say that this book offends me What are you trying to say, that men cannot be magical as well? This is misandry, and I will not stand for it.
Look, let me tell you the real important secret about Anita Sarkeesian. If I could. Let me tell you the one thing that no one's willing to say out loud. She's pretty cool. It's alright.
Look, all I'm saying is that my protest against Witch Girl's Adventures is about ethics in role-playing games.
All I'm saying is that feminism is mutated into something that no one would recognize.
Wonderful. So, yeah.
Moving along from horrible things that we don't think. Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. It is definitely a weird book.
Yeah.
That has... Thing is, there's a core of this book that is good.
Yeah, there's potential here.
Like, it's not terrible. They just, one, needed an editor.
Really need an editor. This book is spell-checked. That's what it is.
Yeah. And they also needed just a few playtesters. Just a couple.
Yeah, because it didn't take... I mean, literally, as I was reading The Outsider...
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, this game's broken. I just figured out how to break this game right now.
Oh, yeah, no. Going through, I'm like, oh, well, that seems interesting. Oh, wait a minute. No, everything's fucked.
Yeah. You know, that doesn't mean that people can't have fun playing this game.
No, definitely not. You just want to say, that out of the 3 things you could have picked as an outsider, the cast spells with not magic isn't allowed.
So let's discuss something that I think may come up here. Is this game written with its... Do you think the target audience of this game is actually kids? Like especially little girls? Do you think that's who this game is for?
The thing is, I think they wanted it to be for that. Like, I can definitely tell that while doing it, they were like, yes, this is our target audience, is we want to get that young girl to, like, in the same way that you would get a 12-year-old boy to start playing D&D, we want to get a 12-year-old girl to start playing Witch Girl's Adventures.
Sure.
I feel like they wanted that.
I can tell, you can tell that it's not the other thing, where it's made for skeevy old men, because it's not written or read that way.
Oh no, like you read Maid and you tell Maid was obviously put together for some, like, 30-year-old guy who just wants to play as a hot young maid.
Yeah, we're kind of connoisseurs of skeeve at this point.
Yeah, and this does not have it. It really feels targeted to what they want.
And maybe that makes us bad at reading it and discussing it appropriately, because a lot of this book just pisses me off. Like, every time it's like, just like at the mall, I'm like, but what if that actually is the right way to appeal to, like, 13-year-old girls? I don't know.
I was never a 13-year-old girl, so I have no idea.
So, it's hard to say.
But the problem I have with it is, as much as they want to appeal to that, I feel like anytime you have a game like this that wants to appeal to a younger audience, it's got too much maths to it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially, the charts and everything for Magic is a pain in the ass. But even outside of that, just your base system of the way the dice type moves up makes it so that it's harder to tell, like, what the chances for things are. Am I going to have a better chance of doing whatever if I'm a D4 or D6? Like, you get that very secure sense. Looking at it, you go, D6 is better than a D4, D8 is better than a D6, and so on. But everything is multiple dice and multiple modifiers.
It's very rarely multiple dice.
Well, not multiple dice for the same roll.
Yeah.
I'm saying multiple dice for everything that you do. Having a system that was like always 2d6.
Yeah, that's a lot simpler.
Anything like that.
I don't think it's a bad thing, though. I think it does a solid job of teaching people dice math by saying all the dice rolls you're going to make in this game are 1 die, and then you add some modifiers. Are you trying to jump over a fence? What's your body? Is it d6? Roll a d6. Do you have a jump skill? Add the number on that jump skill. Did you get higher than some number? You're done. You figured out how to do it. And it's got a very intuitive sense to it. A D8 is bigger than a D6, so even though technically, on average, it's not that much better than a D6.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, a 1 in 4 chance of rolling higher than you would have been able to roll on that D6 anyway. So it's not that impressive, but it carries the concept across, and I think that's good as a kind of beginner market game.
Yeah.
Kind of this idea of, hey, look, there's these weird funny dice that nerds have and you can't find in other countries. And here's how they work and what their values are. So maybe it's good for that. I don't know. I think this may be a solid attempt to build a beginner game with a bunch of really big cracks in it. Notably that it's very easy to break, and also that it, at some points, it just veers wildly into unnecessary complexity.
And I think what would have been good is if they had a starter rules, advanced rules type thing.
Yeah, that
where
could be
you'd
good.
go like, all right, instead of worrying about like what percentage size can I make a guy or anything like that, you had a base rules and then an advanced rules, so you could do something like introduce this game to a group of people, do the basic rules, because if you're trying to get it to a kid, unless they are someone who's super into math, which is the original sort of target for RPGs, which isn't so much nowadays, you could get someone to play your game with the basic rules and then go, okay, you understand the basics entirely, let's add this layer on top.
And that's how I've always done it. When I want to teach a kid to play D&D or something like that, which doesn't happen often, but every once in a while I've got a nephew or something that wants to learn to play D&D, and the way you do it is you just strip out all the rules that get in the way of them having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like, anytime you're looking at a 6-year-old and you're like, all right, you're fighting an orc, and they ask, can I swing from the ceiling? And you have to say, no, that's stupid, don't do that. Instead, you just go,
well, that's an athletics check.
Yeah.
Why don't you see, what is your athletics?
oh, you don't have athletics trained. I'm afraid you can't swing from... No. Instead, the way to play with a kid is to just say yes a bunch. That's all it really is. Just assume it's a more imaginative game and just keep saying yes to them. Can I swing from the ceiling? Of course you can swing from the ceiling. So that's a great way to get a little kid introduced to the concept of role-playing and then slowly introduce all the rules and so on that follow. I think this game is an interesting attempt to find a market of people who... I mean, we keep finding books where they have that beginning section where it's like, this is what a role-playing game is. You're gonna need dice and pizza and graph paper. And I think this game, instead of just having that one little section before diving directly into grogginess, this game actually keeps going pretty simply along the line. It's like, this is a game for a beginner.
Yeah, and, I mean, unlike, say, D&D, which very much is not a game for a beginner, even though everyone tries to use it that way.
And it is the beginner game for everybody in the world except you and me.
Yeah. Is the one thing D&D has going for it, even though it's far more complex than this game, is anyone who is teaching it to you knows that game.
Yeah.
Whereas if you pick this up, probably, you know, if you're, I don't know, picking it up yourself, or if you're like mom or dad is like, hey, I'm gonna teach you kids how to play some role-playing games, whatever, and picks this up, they're not gonna know anything about this game.
So it seems like the target market for this game is 15-year-olds. All girls.
Yeah, which is odd.
That's not something that's gonna regularly walk into a store.
Well,
I mean...
not regularly walk into the store that has Which Girls Adventures, which that store is drive-through RPG.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if there's a hardbound copy of this in existence. I can't imagine it would make it through the editing process like this. That's the nice thing about releasing your game as a PDF, is you could just spell things however you want. Just go freeform with it.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I appreciate that it's trying to fill not only an age range that is fairly underrepresented in RPGs.
Extremely underrepresented. You never see kids, you never see girls, and this is a game written for both.
Yeah, and there are a couple other ones out there that are kid-focused RPGs. There's Adventure Maximus, which is a kid RPG. There's another, like, witch and wizard one that's for kids. So they exist out there. It's just normally you don't really see that, and I appreciate that games try to do that.
Yeah.
And instead of it being like, we're for little kids, it's trying to go for that. The same thing that, like, your average D&D player I started when I was 12.
Yeah.
It's going for that, but for a different demographic, and I like that.
Me too. And again, I can't say this enough. The art in this book is just cool girls doing cool girl stuff.
Yep.
Nothing's exploitative.
And they're always winning. There's never a point in the art in this where, like, some, I don't know, leering vampire has a girl cornered and her magic is useless.
No.
It's always like, there's some dude and she turned it into a frog, or there's some problem and she magicked it away, or she's doing, like, floating 12 different items around while she walks around and is looking at her phone while she carries a computer in space. And you're like, okay, great, awesome.
So it's an actively empowering game, which is, or at least the art suggests that it is an empowering sort of game, which is good. This is, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this is actually a good game. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily that it's well done. I'm just saying that the concept behind this game is good.
I approve of the game existing.
Yes, me too. And with that being said, let's proceed into our judgment section.
Yes, let us pass judgment upon this game.
From on high, we deliver a verdict. We are the taste makers in the world of role-playing games, and our word is law.
Now, to see what your fate shall be.
We shall rest the PDF on one hand and a feather in the other.
Well, I mean, the feather is heavier, because, you know...
It has material of any kind.
PDF.
Well, what do you know? This thing gets to go to Egyptian heaven, then.
Yeah, that's what we've decided. This PDF goes to Egyptian heaven. Tune in next week, where we decide what afterlife an RPG will go to.
Okay. John, what would you say is your favorite thing about Which Girls Adventures directors sit?
My favorite thing in this probably has to be... I'm gonna go with the general tone of it. Like we were just saying, everything is very... You have the power. Mm-hmm. Everything is geared towards the player, even just as a player, completely out of context of, like, trying to market this towards a certain person. As a player, everything seems like there will be obstacles to overcome, whatever, but you are uniquely powerful.
Yes.
Like, there are other witches in the world, and they might have higher ranks, but given that most of the things you're dealing with are either other students or, like, mundane problems, you're actually kind of a badass.
Yeah.
And whatever you choose to focus in, you're really good at that.
And for a simple game, it has a pleasant amount of complexity to it. I'm sorry, I'm jumping right in with my own favorite thing.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's get your favorite thing then, you jag-off.
I apologize. There's a pleasant complexity to building your character, and I'm mostly building off what you were saying. Because you get to pick the spells that you want to cast, the heritage that your character has, their special talents, their interesting skills, their click unique bonuses, and so on. You can build a character that's very different from every other character in the party. I mean, it's sure you're playing as 4 girl witches, but the sense is they feel very different.
Yeah, as long as you don't do the outsider thing where you're just picking everything to make one stat amazing.
Yeah,
you can make really interesting characters.
Yeah. So I think that's my favorite thing, is that this game actually does have some complexity to character design that lets people create unique characters, which would be fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what would you say is your least favorite thing?
I will let you have the editing.
Thank you.
I will go ahead and say that my least favorite thing in this is probably actually the spell selection. There's no real guideline for creating more spells or your own spells. They do say, yeah, if you want to do a thing, make it up. And that's fine if you're doing a damaging spell, because at least the damage per rank is a thing you have.
Mm-hmm.
But most spell classes have maybe, at most, for the low rank ones, like 5 spells to pick from. And then after that,
it's like 1 in a lot of cases.
Oh yeah, you get to rank 5 and maybe you have 2. You get to rank 6 and there is 1.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that that's the high end of power for this game, but even then, like a rank 3 person has like 4 spells to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And if none of those appeal to you, then
yeah, I suppose that's true.
It's just, I feel like it's a little limiting, because this is 200 some odd pages worth of RPG.
Although if you think about it, by the time you get to that rank 4 and you're picking between those 3 spells, you're like, I have 5 spells in 3 other categories, so I'm really just coming to the point where I'm getting my 16th and 17th spells, so...
Well, that's possible if you had a bunch of spells in the other things as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you went, alright, I start at rank 3 as a, like, telekinesis mage or witch, and I go to rank 4, and now I'm looking at my possible choices, and there just isn't a lot. It doesn't do the, like, everything can do anything, which is nice, but it's just, I don't know. It feels oddly limiting that in most books that have a magic system and everything else, that the magic system takes up, like, 80 pages.
Yeah.
And in this, where the whole game is about casting spells and nothing else, it takes up, like, 20 pages.
On the other hand, that's because a lot of the spells have 1-sentence descriptions as well. A lot of the spells are like, what's this do? This spell turns people into a frog. It can turn one person into a frog. Ha ha, frog. That's the story. It's like, that's all you really have to deal with. Okay.
So, your least favorite thing, then.
All right, I have the book open to the page about what stats are and what they represent. This is not on purpose. That's because I needed to remember all 5 or 6 of the stats before we started the podcast. However, I'm looking at a random line on it, and again, I'm going to say the editing is my least favorite thing. This is a random line. I did not pre-select this. I'm going to read it to you now. Each class grants certain bonuses to a, and also determiners, a character's starting wealth. Once again, that's each class grants certain bonuses to a, and also determiners, a character's starting wealth.
Good job.
So there's determiners in there, that's cool. Which is, I think it's like the Rescuers Down Under, the third sequel of that.
I thought they were a band that would open up.
Oh, the band?
The Determiners?
That's pretty good, too. And also, let's be clear here, there's no A column or anything like that. It's just 2A. They forgot to put a noun in after that particular section.
Yep.
So it's just grants bonuses to, and also determiners. The determiners.
I
open for the residents.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. So that's my least favorite thing in this book, is that whoever wrote it did not subsequently read it. We did. We had to read it. Why didn't you show the same courtesy, buddy?
Come on, man.
You got a bunch of authors on this. There's more than one person listed on the credits page. All I wanted you to do was just read it. Or don't, and send me, Jeff, $200 American to edit your book. I will do it, and you will have a way better book. I write way better than I talk.
That's true. Because you talk like an idiot.
I know. I'm the Carl Pilkington of the podcasting world at this point.
Yes.
So, okay. Would you play this game?
I think I would.
You 13-year-old girl.
Yes. I totally would be a 13-year-old girl in this. It would be great. Like, it would be interesting because it would be, again, sort of like the same thing we said with Nexus. And LARPing. Since it's something I haven't really done in role-playing before, it would be fun to at least give it a shot. And especially if you're doing a group that isn't skeevy about it.
Yep.
Like,
well, that's going to be a given. I mean, I'm not going to play with a skeevy group. Just like our routine guest Claire was saying on that episode, you either have to go no skeeve or all skeeve. And I don't want to play this game in all skeeve. I could play Maid in all skeeve because it's written that way. But this game, I feel like it would just be too bad.
Oh yeah, no, that would be my skeevy fanfic about witch girls, and it would just be real sad.
Real unpleasant. I mean, you have to have a group that's ready to go when you want to do the all skeeve adventure. Like, everyone in the group's got to be like, okay, tonight's all skeeve night, bring a bucket. But no, you're right. You could play this game, and it would be a fun game.
Yeah. So, would you join me in this game playing?
Well, I'd play it. I wouldn't play with you. Fuck you.
Aww.
No, of course I'd play this game. This game's...
Of course we would. We're BFFs.
Aww.
Twinsies.
IDK, my BFF, John.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for this game so much.
For me, this it hits all the notes of games I do like to play, which is that the rules are fairly simple, they're fairly fast, you can teach people them right away and get right into the game, and that it's a novel thing. It's not another fantasy grind. It's not another, there's orcs in the castle, and there's a wizard that stops the orcs. I mean, there's wizards, sure, but there's no orcs.
Well, the nice thing is, it gives you a nice blend of settings, so it's not like, you are in space, or you are in a fantasy land. It's, okay, you're doing modern day, but you've got the fantasy thing. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously you've got the Harry Potter stuff going on, but it's set so that you're in an actual town in a mundane world, so you're not out at fucking Hogwarts or whatever.
Well, do you think this would make a good Hogwarts simulator if you had a bunch of people who really wanted to play Harry Potter games?
Maybe.
I don't know what would be better, I guess. Probably like a Fate or something.
I don't know.
Like
I mean, this could work.
Yeah.
You could do it that way. I don't know. I kind of agree with them when they say you could do it, and here's how you do it, but don't.
Don't. Yeah, it's better for what it is, I think. I think that's true.
Because you also have to cut out a lot of the backgrounds and the traits and the knacks and everything
and
just don't make sense.
That's true. Because, you
have to cut cybermancy out entirely.
Yeah, because none of that happens in those. There are half things in the wizard world, though. There's a half giant. That's an important character in the books.
Yeah, but you don't get things like half immortals.
No, it's true. It'd be really hard to play a half immortal like Ronnie the Bear.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'd both play this game.
Sweet.
There we go. We would both play Witch Girls Adventures Director's Sit.
Yeah.
All right. A little housekeeping notes here from the System Mastery Podcast. As always, you can find us at systemmasterypodcast.com. We are on Stitcher or iTunes, so you can download our shows from there. We are also on Twitter or Facebook, so visit us there at System Mastery everywhere you go. If you have any questions you'd like us to answer, because we now have our new sister podcast where we answer questions, you can send those to systemmastery@gmail.com or tweet them to us at System Mastery.
Yeah, if you have not checked out Afterthought, it is a new podcast that we are doing, our sister podcast. If you're only on the feed that are subscribed to this and you don't know...
It's the same feed, so don't worry about that.
Then just, hey, get on that.
Yeah.
Get it.
You probably heard it last week. We did our first episode. We have another one coming out next week. We are now a weekly podcast, so there's no more waiting 2 weeks to hear our annoying voices.
Now you can hear us review a thing and then just talk about dumb crap.
So the Afterthought podcast will be coming out every other Tuesday. If you have questions you'd like to ask us about anything, a lot of the questions seem to be trying to suss us out as bad reviewers.
Yeah.
They're always things like, do you guys like any games? It's like, yes, we do. We love games, but it's a comedy review podcast where we are unusually negative. So we are not pretending to be real reviewers.
Yes, I got my degree in RPG review, and this is the final word in how good a game is.
I studied the feet of Siskel and Ebert, who kept telling me to get away from him. Oh,
yeah.
Siskel and Ebert, one man.
Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
And I was studying something entirely different from what they were doing, but I was at his feet, just studying random things, and he's like, get out of here. Don't make me kick you, and I'm like, oh!
You know I don't even think video games are art, right? What do you think I'm going to think of role-playing games?
Oh, it's totally art, because it's a book.
There's art in there.
Yeah, there's art in it.
Look at them boobies.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so check out the new podcast where we discuss a variety of topics. If you have something you think would make a good topic, you can drop us a line about that. Otherwise, this has been System Mastery for one more week. Check in next week, or 2 weeks from now for the next episode. As always, we have no idea what it will be. And good night.